Welcome to Across the Gulf Coast, highlighting organizations, events, and people from around our local community.
Hello, I'm Public Affairs Manager Cam Johnson. I'd like to welcome you to this episode of Across the Gulf Coast. We've got another great show in store for you this month. We're going to talk about several events taking place across the Gulf Coast, including Relay for Life, and then two events in Pensacola, the Loving from the Inside Out and Dishing It Out with the Junior League. But we're going to kick it all off with a special auction that is coming to Okaloosa County, but really, I guess, everywhere at large, since it's on the World Wide Web, so to speak. And joining me to talk about that is Jenny Perkins and Rachel Mayu. They are with Covenant Hospice. Thank you so much for being my guest today, both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So again, this is a special thing that you guys do for Covenant Hospice. And before we get into all the particulars of the auction, I want to talk about Covenant overall. Give us a little overview of what Covenant does, what Covenant Hospice does, and kind of the mission of the organization.
Sure. Covenant Hospice exists to provide end-of-life care to patients and their families who have received a diagnosis from their physician that they have usually 6 months or so life expectancy. So as a hospice organization, we come into wherever the patient calls home, whether that's in a facility, whether that's in the hospital, whether that's in a loved one's home or their own residence, and we just infuse those last months, those last days, weeks, whatever they have, with as much quality time as we possibly can. So we do that in a number of ways through our IDG team. It's our interdisciplinary group, and that's made up of physicians, nurses, hospice aides. We have chaplains. We've got wonderful volunteers who come alongside the family and support them through this journey and really make the most of the time that they have.
Because it is a very tough, obviously, time, especially the last 6 months. It's a very tough time. So what kind of response do you get from the families, and what does this mean to have somebody like the chaplain or just some of these other other people around during that difficult time?
Overwhelmingly, what we hear from the families and the patients are that they wish they had known about us sooner. And so that is a challenge for us as an organization to let people know through mediums like this who we are as an organization and the ways that we can benefit both the patient and the family, because it truly is about both parties. It's about taking care of that patient's physical, emotional, spiritual needs, certainly, but it's also about allowing that family to be a family member, to be a loved one. They've often been a caregiver for many months, and they're overwhelmed, they're tired, and so their response is that they wish they would have known about us sooner, and that they are so grateful to have had the help and the support that our staff is able to provide, not just during the illness, but even after their loved one has passed. We stay with them through that grief journey and help facilitate that journey through bereavement and on to renewal.
And of course, all that support and all that help that you guys offer, you have to have fundraisers in various ways to pay for all that and to provide that support to these families. And that is great, the mission that you guys provide to allow them to be a family and not to be a caregiver. So Rachel, let's talk about one of the fundraisers coming up. We mentioned is the auction, the Cox Charity Auction. Tell us a little bit about what the auction is and how people can get involved.
Sure. We have 4 one-week auctions beginning April 11th, wrapping up May 9th. So each auction runs Saturday through Saturday, and each week has different items. And all of the items are donated by generous businesses in our community. Sometimes individuals will purchase gift certificates and things of that nature to donate as well. And then we start the bids off at 60% off the retail value. So 40% of the value is where we start, and then of course those build as bidders get involved. But all of that money raised then, because all of the items are donated, comes back to Covenant and goes back to those special programs such as children's services and bereavement.
Now, for somebody that wants to look at what items you have or be involved, what's the website? Where do they go to get online with this auction?
It's coxcharityauction.com.
Okay. Can you give us a hint and maybe some of the auction items that you guys have, or maybe just a few examples of what you've had in the past?
Sure. We usually have an array of artwork, jewelry, spa and massage, salon, gift certificates, golf packages, getaways, things like that. This year, specifically, we have an iPad mini coming from Cox, which we're excited to highlight. We also have Ramada Beach Resort has a 3-night stay that they've donated. Southern Vacation Rentals has a stay in each of the 4 auctions. So those are good for 2 nights each, and any of their properties that go from Northwest Florida through coastal Alabama.
So there's a little something for everybody, from
That's
jewelry
right.
to vacations to iPads to whatever golf. So there's a little something for everybody. And I do want to touch on, we got about a minute left, but I want to touch on something you already mentioned. They're 1-week auctions. People don't need to wait until May 9th to put in a final bid on something that came up earlier on. These are all 1-week separate auctions, right?
That's right. That's right. So you've got 7 days for each set, and then you need to come back the next week and check out what's new.
Absolutely. Check out what the new items are. And give us the website one more time, please.
CoxCharityAuction.com.
All right, perfect. Well, Rachel and Jenny, thank you both so much for being my guests today. I really appreciate it, and good luck with the auction.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for having
Absolutely.
us.
Stay with us. When we come back, we'll be talking Relay for Life.